And it's 10 o'clock, and this is Lancaster Woodturners Weekly Coffee Hour, number 152 for May 18th, 2023. My name's John Kelsey. I'll be your moderator as we usually do. We're going to have to entertain ourselves this morning, although I do have a few announcements and reports, and I'll start with those. The next Lancaster Club meeting is June 6th, and Angelo is going to show some of the finer points of spindle turning and just some of the finer points of precision turning. Things that techniques he uses to make his very famous magic boxes, ball and vase magic box tricks. It's just a remarkable exercise in precision turning with old style simple measurements, octagons and things like that. Anyway, it's a terrific demo. That's on June 6th at Lancaster Club. About the AAW symposium, I put out an email to club members, which most of you are, but not all, offering to put together groups to get the discount for the AAW virtual symposium, which is June 2, 3, 4 in Louisville. And they're going to broadcast about 20 demos, and you can see the full list on their website. And they're going to try some sort of newscasting from the trade show and the hallways and the exhibitions. So it'll be a pretty interesting show. And the normal price for AAW members is $100 and $129 for non-members. It turns out that it doesn't matter if you're a member or not to participate in the group deal. So we sold a package of 10 overnight to 10 members of this club, a lot of you on screen, which means you get it for $60. And now we're working on the second package, and I got one this morning just before I logged on. So and the email just went out. So I rather expect we'll fill certainly 5 of that and maybe 10 of that one as well. So from our point of view, the virtual symposium is people are really interested in it. I know I am. I also learned that there is no provision in what they're doing for any two-way communication. It's all there'll be some questions and answers in the chat. I don't know what the platform is they're using. So I'm thinking about figuring out maybe once a day to have a coffee hour for those of you who'd like to just chat about what you've seen that day or that half day. So I'll have more to say about that as it goes on. Anybody got any questions or comments about the package deal and the symposium stuff that we can sort out right here?
I do, John. Go ahead.
You're in, John. Yeah, you're
this is John Chalikian. I'm in the group, and I just got your email about paying. And so my question is you're saying to pay through PayPal. How do you do that? You just go on to PayPal? I mean, I've never done it.
I don't want to get you confused with starting PayPal. You can mail me a check if you want, or we can figure out a place to meet and hand me cash. Any way you want to do to get me money before Sunday when I need to do this close this out.
Okay, well, mail's not going to get there by Sunday, but
well, the mail can get there next week. I'm sorry, I can handle that next week. I just don't want to administer the sign up for a whole lot longer, and I need time for exactly what you're talking about. So if you can mail a check to my home, and I'll text you the address later on.
Okay, thank you.
John.
You're in, Jeff.
Yes. Could you also text me your address? I need to send you a check also.
Okay. Anybody else on screen thinking about getting in on this?
Yeah, I need to read more clearly, but is the same big discount happen if only 5, or that I didn't understand?
A group of 5 gets a 20% discount. A group of 10 gets a 40% discount.
I would love to have another 10 groups to get.
Well, if you've already signed up, you're already signed up. I signed up as an individual right at the beginning, so I'm not even participating in the deal, but I am going to administer it on behalf of the club.
Can I say, with the discount, I've sent you the PayPal already, John. And by the time I do the exchange to Canadian funds, I save $10, so it's about $90 Canadian.
Well, if you bought the full boat Canadian, you'd be more than $100 too. You'd be
it would have been 130 for me if I went through the AAW. Yeah, so it's great. Thank you very much.
So it's a good deal. Yeah. It's something we can uniquely do because we're in touch. They didn't announce it soon enough for us to talk about it at the May club meeting. So it's all been, just a couple of emails and this forum here.
John.
Dave.
Hey, how do I know how much money to send you? Whether it's what, $60 or $90 if I did a PayPal today?
Tell me you're in, and I'm putting together the second group now, and I'll tell you when we reach 5 and again when we reach 10. If 10 sign, I'm going to keep it open till Sunday.
I got
So
you.
between now and Sunday night, if 10 sign up, then that's another group of 10, and we'll start a third group.
Got it. Okay.
And then you can PayPal me after we fill the group and know what we're doing.
It's a weird format that they have, that you have to get increments of a certain number, that once you hit 10, you just can't add 11 or 12 and continue with the same rate. You got to start over, don't you?
Yeah, I complained about that, and they said, well, that's what we blah blah. They never really answered.
It's goofy.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense. But the way we're doing it is the way we can beat it without taking on. The club can't take on the financial risk of buying a package and then not selling it out. And because of the lateness of the announcement, the club executives knows what we're doing, but I'm doing it myself. Really, it's going through my own PayPal, and you're just going to have to trust me that it's going to work out. I don't actually fully trust the AAW to flawlessly deliver a code that will allow 10 people who paid in one package to get on without any trouble either. They've never done anything like this flawlessly before, so I'll be pleasantly surprised if they pull it off this time. And I'm willing to give it the old college try. And if it does get messed up, we of all groups can get it sorted out because we know how to be in touch with each other.
John?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good idea to post your address and PayPal account in the chat?
Yeah, I'll do that sometime during the meeting.
Okay.
I'm not going to stop and type it in right now, but sometime when somebody else is rattling on for a while, I'll do that.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Do you think that, if this goes well, do you think the whole nature of the symposium for AAW is going to change to be virtual? Because I keep hearing that the people going to it's dropping off significantly, and it did with COVID and hasn't come back.
Well, on the other hand, suppose nobody goes, then what do you have? There's a balance going to be found in here somewhere, and there's benefit to people getting together, and people like to do that. So I think there'll always be a group that goes to it. But yeah, I think it's going to change, and I think the financing of it's going to change. I think it's going to be a smaller live group, more intense, and it's going to be a larger virtual group. And I think it's going to be work so people can chat with one another. My Zoom license allows 300 screens, so we could have we could put it out there and see who wants to chat. Maybe twice a day. Once a day. What do you guys think about that?
I'm asking because I'm hearing a lot of people saying they're going to SWAT instead of to AAW because it's better than the AAW is becoming these days. I'm here for more.
A lot of people like Saratoga Springs too. I happen to enjoy Mid-Atlantic. I like the regionals. I think they're a great idea. And it's a whole lot cheaper to go to something you can drive to or stay with friends within an hour or two of home. So, I think it's a mix of things that's going to happen, really. And I think the big, expensive, big city symposium is probably going to morph into something else. We used to do these things in college workshops and gyms and school gymnasiums, small groups can do a lot.
What makes one better than the others? The demonstrators, the people that come, the vendors, what location, but you're not going for a location, you're going for wood turning. What makes one better than the other?
Sometimes it's the facility and how things are spread out, and how you tend to, do you have to walk too far to get from one person you want to see to the other? The other factor is the location of the vendor area, how convenient it is, and how you cross pathways with other folks that you can stop and chat and you see somebody just because of the flow of the traffic patterns. I think after you've been turning a while, the social aspects become far more important sometimes than the first year or two. You might go where you're really focusing in on learning and watching some famous demonstrator. But after a while, it's that intimate social experience and interaction with vendors, and people you've connected with over the internet or in forums or emails or what have you.
I totally agree with Mike. And I'll tell you, SWAT has it over the other ones. They have the same symposium in the same location with the same vendors, the same caterers, it's a well-oiled machine.
Well, that's got a lot to do with it. The AAW, by
Yeah.
moving around, has to reinvent it in every city they go to. And they have to do it with such a long lead time that there's very little ability to respond to current conditions. That's been really a big problem.
And the less people go, the less vendors can
afford to
go, and it just compounds itself.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever be. I think there is space for things that are totally virtual, but I think the real live event is absolutely worthwhile. I just find it too difficult to go halfway across the country and stay in fancy hotels and build up a big bar bill and a big toys bill. It's just too much.
John, I think you're right. And the other thing that I noticed when I looked through the list of presenters for this one, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of new presentations. Exactly what Mike was saying. I keep seeing the same things being presented time after time. And I'm wondering, what's the value statement after you've been to 2 or 3 of them?
Well, an awful lot of painted work there too. I noticed. I mean, a lot of the sessions are devoted to decorative stuff after you're turning, which is not something I interest me particularly. I mean, I respect people who do it totally, but it's not my thing.
Well, it's certainly a challenge for them to meet the different levels, because every time when they have the opening ceremony, they ask how many people are here for the first time, and fully a third of the participants are new turners with turning within their first year. This is their first symposium, and they tend to, a lot of them going to watch a lot of more basic things. And I can remember a discussion with a real fine turner here in Atlanta who we were participating in a forum, and somebody was commiserating that they didn't get accepted as a demonstrator, and this was in Atlanta. And Harvey Meyer, who's a far better turner than I am, been turning longer, he said, well, I didn't get selected either. And then I'm thinking, wow, I got selected. But it was the nature of the demonstration. I was doing something fairly basic that was hitting that lower third. There's a certain number of demonstrations that they have to hit that lower third. Harvey was competing with the top tier people, the Jimmy Clues and Glenn Lucas folks, where the slots are already, most of them are tapped out by people that have been invited. So he had to compete with a different crowd than I did, and I got to got a slot as a demonstrator.
That's the nature of symposia. I don't want to spend the full hour on this. We're a quarter of a way into it. We did that last week, which I really found fascinating, and it led to putting together the groups. So let me just close that out by saying, if any of you on screen want to participate in the groups, email me between now and Sunday and let me know. And I'll assemble groups based on order of information, and then you can pay. We work out PayPals and checks next week in time to actually place the order and get the codes, which has to be done by the end of the month. And I don't want to be administering this heavily for a very long time, so I'm trying to get it concentrated. So
I just want to say something
in the chat before we close, my own email, and which is the same as my PayPal address. But don't PayPal me until we agree. Until I let you know, yes, you're in a group, and it's a group of 10, and this is the price.
Just want to say a couple of things. One real quickly is that I agree with what everybody said last week about our coffee hour and how much you learned and things like that. And I think Mike did a great job describing our Mid-Atlantic situation, where all the people are close to the vendors and everything else. Thank you for your input.
What are you going to do, Dave? Are you going to join us on the virtual, or are you going to go to?
No, I have a wedding to go to.
Is anybody on screen going to go to Louisville? Mike is, I know. I see only Mike.
Maybe.
Two, Dave Delo.
I only have one reason to go, and I'd like to meet Ken Root from Branches to Bowls, the Vicmark dealer, and that's probably the only reason that I would go.
Well, you can drive there in half a day too.
Yeah,
can't you?
I'm about 6 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope to get over there one day at least.
Where are you? You live out there, don't you, Roger?
I'm about 2 hours from there.
Yeah.
Hey, John, I'm going to be there because the OTI is going to have a vendor booth in the vendor area.
Okay. So that's 4. Interesting. Very interesting discussion. Who's got their hands up for show and tell? Let's do that this morning for a while. We didn't do it last week. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to start in here. Let's see. Since Mike's on the phone, I'm going to start with you, Bruce. What do you got?
Okay, I have a couple of things. Let's see here. Bring up my share. So as I think I have shown a bunch of hollow forms lately, I wanted to talk to folks about what you do to process wood for hollow forms. Everyone talks about logs for bowls, but no one really, I've really never heard people talk about processing wood for hollow forms. And I find it a little difficult to dry wood that's 5, 6, 8 inches wide for hollow forms and tends to crack. This is a piece of maple that I recently did, and I did turn it green and set it aside and found toward the bottom, as usual, where you've got a tenon that it tends to crack. I got lucky that I was able to turn through the crack when I got to the bottom and get to pretty solid wood. But my luck with turning them green even has not been particularly great, but it does seem to work. A couple views of this one, the sapwood I left on darkened that way, and I did have to glue it on in a couple of places, but otherwise it worked pretty fine when I turned it the second time. Let's see here. Just look around.
Nice piece.
I really like the curve I came out with, and the top has a collar. If you notice, there's a thin ebony collar to kind of mimic the maple collar I left on it to kind of give it a step kind of look at the piece. But
the collar in ebony is not part of the finial, it's on the pot, right?
That's correct. It's glued into the pot, and then that allows you to use less ebony, so you can actually have a smaller diameter piece of ebony that you use for your finial. So there's actually a cost savings reason to do that as well. But in this case, I found it gave it a pretty nice look with that. But anyone have comments on drying or using wood for hollow forms?
Bruce, I got a question while somebody's thinking about that. How wide is your base in relation to, or what size is this piece? Like, I've been turning some really tall vases. You can hardly call them bud vases, but balance is a question. What is that one pretty balanced, or is it tippy?
I wouldn't say it's tippy. I think the bottom is pretty nice, but obviously I take that curve so that it looks like it goes down to nothing.
Right.
But it's probably 2 inches or so at the base. And I think, I was trying to see if I could find it somewhere. So I think the top is around 6 inches. Might be a little wider than that even.
So it's 25% base versus diameter of the wide spot.
When I was turning things like that, I always did it in green, like carefully selected green wood. Turn it as green as you can, get it real thin.
So that's actually 8 inches. 8 inches high. I don't have a dimension written on it, but it's probably about 6 inches wide if I had to guess.
That's a very daring finial.
You know, it's kind of funny too, is and of course, Jim would probably criticize my lighting in the picture is all from the top. So it shades the bottom of that decorative piece in the middle in a way that's really not real. It's just the way the light's falling on it.
Bruce, no criticism for me. Just lay a little white card on the left to fill in the left side just a little bit. So that's all. No, you did well for what you're showing. No, it's good.
I like very much leaving a little patch of bark on a piece like that. I've done that too. It sort of anchors it in its reality, you know, where it came from.
It does, and obviously there was a bunch of inclusions on this one as well, but just local maple. But yeah, cracking on these pieces is a problem. I had a beautiful piece of plum I did, but unfortunately it had a bark inclusion that ran the whole length of the piece. And as that one dried, of course, the whole thing just split apart.
Are you talking about cracking in the pith area or along the sides of the piece?
There is no pith in this piece.
I see. Okay.
I don't have a hollow form, but when Jim was talking about liming, this was a piece of roadside ash they did about 5 years ago, and the pith would have been here, and it hardly moved at all. It was a lot of fun to turn. I was going to say, John Jordan has some excellent stuff on his website about selecting wood for vessels and hollow forms, because that was what he did. And
hold that up again, please, Mike. I got you spotlighted now, so we can
I'll have to take a look at that.
So
Okay.
this is the outside, so you can see the grain size. This was sprayed with Rust-Oleum black lacquer and then lime, and then finished with Danish oil. You use the Danish oil to finally wipe out across the grain. But this was a fun piece. It's left natural inside.
Nice
Ash
work.
is beautiful to work with the liming wax, and it's pretty easy to hollow. The other thing I was going to say is I have an urn. I still haven't put the final coat of wipe on poly on it for my sister, and I drilled about a 1-inch hole in the pith. It was the most concentric piece of wood I've ever turned, I think, and that prevented the cracking. Then I plugged it when I did the final turn, and I actually left a little nub inside and turned something that allowed me to mount the thing upside down and do my wipe on. Well, you know, it was Danish oil. I guess it was at that stage, so I could hold it for drying upside down.
All right, thank you. I have one other piece that I actually made yesterday morning, which is a little different. We call these the squarish bowls. I don't know if other folks have used this shape. It's not my invention, but you kind of cut the shape on the bandsaw and then turn the bowl. Anyone want to take a guess at this wood?
Butternut.
Nope.
Persimmon.
Nope.
You're like the guys all over AOL, you know, what wood do you think this is? Which is absolutely goofy. I usually post, hey, it's tree wood. That's all you're ever going to tell from a photograph.
Yeah, this was a cut off a scrap at Hearn Lumber from the guitar industry. I think it's white limba, and turns beautifully, and it has some really interesting figure, and the lighting. And this is not a great picture. There's lots of eyes and other things in it that really are pretty special. But
it's kind of waxy when you turn it too, isn't it?
A little bit, maybe. Yeah, it's really easy to turn and get a nice surface. It sands beautifully too. Yeah.
Yellow limba is also very waxy. I don't know why, but it is.
I have some black limba spindle that I'm going to try do a hollow form for. I haven't tried that yet, but I think
that black, white, and do you think that black, white, and yellow limba are actually all the same tree? Are we talking about 3 totally different species?
I don't know the answer to that. I do know that black limba and white limba are very similar. I think it's probably the amount of pitch and other things that are in it that cause it that. So
I kind of suspect with wood names like that limba in some language means wood, you know, or tree.
I don't know if anyone's tried this square shape though. If you're interested, and here Don probably be wanting to make one of these, I'm sure. it's really quite simple. And actually, a member of our club put this paper together, not me. Actually, Ed Cohn did this. So you start by inscribing a circle on your piece, and then you want to mark, make one line right through the circle, and then another line 90 degrees to your first line. Is that clear? So you've got 4 points on the circle that are all 90 degrees apart. Then set your compass, instead of what was at the radius, at the diameter of the circle, and then use each one of these 4 points to draw an arc. So if I take this point here, the arc the compass is drawing is this line here at the diameter. So it should go through the other point and then swing your arc. And if you do that from each one of these 4 points, you then get this shape defined very nicely. Just cut it out on a bandsaw. I usually leave it a little proud of the line and clean it up on the disc sander, because I'm just not a great bandsawer. But you come out with that shape, and it really, I find the shape very pleasing. I don't know that it shows real. I think I distorted the shape a little bit in the picture because my camera's not flat, because I was trying to get some of those eyes to show up. But in any case,
so you finish the shape when it's a flat piece of wood before you turn the plate, right? After you bandsaw it, you finish the edge.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's really a pretty neat little and very simple thing to lay out in a matter of a minute or two.
Richard Raffin showed that shape in a video he recently put up for a club demo, and he described how much more pleasing it was than just a square plate, but he didn't describe exactly how you got that shape like you did. So that was very helpful. Thank you.
All right, great. Yeah, it's not obvious at all, is it? And but when you look at it, it really gives you a very pleasing shape. And I'm not sure where originally the idea came from, but several guys in our group do it, and I like it a lot. And this one, actually, this is the plate itself. I don't know if I can make it look better. You can't see the eyes. You still can't see the eyes on screen. Anyway,
you can make a similar shape using 3 points, and then you get a deltoid, which is another really interesting shape to work with in a similar way.
Yeah, I've done that by jamming a cube into the headstock without a. Yeah, Mike is shaking his head. He's seen that technique as well.
Any possibility of sharing that that paper with us?
And what you can do is take when the video comes out, you can just stop the video at that moment and read it off.
Okay, good enough. Thanks.
Yeah, I suppose I can. I'll try and put it in the chat if I can.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think you can. That's what I mean about.
I thought you can put files now in the chat.
You
but
can. Yeah, you can add a file. It's in the. Click on the dots, and you can put a file in.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's worth doing. Yeah.
Make it a PDF and just drop it.
It has to be allowed by the moderator.
What I normally do over here is pause the picture that's wanted, go onto the snipping tool and print it off.
Yeah, you can always do that from the video.
Yeah, from the video.
I agree.
Yeah. We now, in fact, don't even do printed club minutes. We just post the video. You can see exactly what was talked about if you want to know.
Well, can we show that picture again one last time so we can snap it?
Sure, put it up.
I was just figuring out how to attach a file. I've never done that. Let's see. Share. Done.
There it is.
That's great.
If you're on a Mac, you can go Apple Shift 3 and take a picture of it.
Yep, good old screen grab. I do
Take a photograph on your phone.
Yep, you can take a picture with your phone. Lots of ways to do this. Okay, thank you, Bruce. That's the end of it, right? Or have you got more?
That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. Let me see. Let's go to Stu. We haven't heard from Stu in a while. What do you got, Stu?
Hey guys, how's it going? I haven't got anything to show that I've been turning, but I come up with a little project I've been working on in my shop, and I'd like to share it with you if I can. Got it now?
Talk to it. Yep.
Okay. Turntable. and I mounted my grinders, and I got a belt and disc sander on there. I got a Robert Sorby belt sander, a Tormex, a buffing wheel, all on this turntable. It turns on the pedestal. I had another one here. I thought, no, I guess
So
that's it.
What kind of a turntable mechanism is that, or is there a bearing
All it
plate
is,
in there?
I got a post, and I put a plate on top of the post with a 8 ball bearing rollers spread out at about a 20-inch diameter, maybe 15-inch diameter, and a 1/2-inch bolt down the middle, and it rotates the top comfortably. It holds enough restriction on there when it turns that it doesn't turn freely. You got to turn it, by hand, and it holds position, so you can rotate the table right around to anywhere you want. It's a space saver in the shop, but I got 5 items on there that take up a 39-inch diameter disc.
What's the size of the base? It looks like it might be a little bit tippy in that short dimension, unless you.
It's actually not. That I made that base too with 3 pieces of I-beam. It's fairly heavy, and then I ordered the outside with 3/16 by 2 flat steel, so it's got a lot of weight to it. And there's a 2.5-inch square tubing up the middle and 2-inch inside, and I can adjust the height of the table 2 inches up or 2 inches down.
Comments, questions? Interesting stuff. Thank you, Stu.
It's a good space saver in the shop.
Yeah.
How big is the Lazy Susan base?
39 inches, 1 meter.
With a 20-inch plate under it that
20
Yeah,
inch.
about roughly about 20 inches or so underneath. Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to do it with a bearing, a large ball bearing, and Bert came up with the idea of these rollers, and I thought that's a lot cheaper and a lot easier, so that's where I ended up.
Nice,
Put your picture to the one with all the devices on it.
We saw that. You can go back to it. There it is.
There. So I got power coming down from above, into that post there with 8 plug-ins, and I've got vacuum that comes off the wall here, and I've rigged that up since this picture, but I don't think I got another. No, I don't have another shot of it here.
Okay.
Can you provide a link to the actual Lazy Susan base that you used?
Yeah, I think I could probably come up with something.
Yeah, stick it in the chat. I'm looking at doing something similar for two grinders where I can spin it around. I saw a picture of that for Space Saver, and I was trying to figure out how strong a Lazy Susan do I need.
Yeah.
We didn't use a Lazy Susan. We used those little, you can buy the little balls that are encapsulated in a little pressed metal thing. And that's like the balls you use for loading aircraft. You can just screw them onto anything and then you can go any direction. And that's why you have to put a bolt in the center. Yep. So we just paced them out about 20 inches or 25 inches in diameter. And then it didn't have to even be on a perfect circle because they'll allow the wood to go anywhere. And they're really cheap off Amazon.
That's kind of like the items you use in an offcut table, right? For your table saw that you make. Yeah. Yep. Okay, I got you. I can find that. Thank you.
Yeah.
They're actually assembly line stuff. They help move boxes down chutes. Yep. Okay, thanks a lot, Stu.
All right.
Let's end your share.
Great.
Okay. Let me see. Ziegler, you want to tell us about the wood sale? And I went to the wood sale, the auction up in Manheim Township last Saturday. I think you've got some pictures.
Yeah, let me see if I can share the screen. Yep. Let me just bring it full screen. Can you all see that?
You see a block of wood.
Okay, well, this is just a quick show and tell. Before we get to those
Okay.
photos, I haven't turned a hollow form really. And the other day I thought, since I hadn't turned anything in a while, I would just try to do something that's a little tighter at the top than I've done. And I had this piece of ambrosia, I think it was like maybe 6 by 6 or something like that. And so I started, that was my initial intention. And I was using some of the Boxmaster tools, John, that you had showcased the other day when you did your boxes. And I was having fun with that. But when I was hollowing the center, I actually pulled my hollowing tool a little bit too much, and I went through the top of the bowl, or the top of the form. So it wasn't quite that tight. It ended up being probably 6 inches in diameter. Those are the Boxmaster tools that I used partly. And they were really nice tools. They're really sharp and really fun to use. And so this was, and then when I showed something a few months ago, I forget if it was Mike or Bruce or somebody suggested to not have a base on it. So basically this has no base. It's just smooth on the bottom, and it has enough of a little flat spot that it's not tippy. But I also, the other problem I had was, I guess most of it's just under 1/8 of an inch thick, except that at the bottom of it, when you hold it up to the light, you can see light through it. It got to be almost paper thin because I just was having trouble controlling the thickness. It's really light, but it's a little bit too light. I think if you put much pressure on it, it would probably implode.
Is that the figure circle there on one side or on both sides?
It's just that one side.
One side.
Yeah, you can see.
I see.
Well, you can sort of see it on the top of the blank.
Yeah, I see it now.
Right. So anyhow, that was that little piece I turned. So then to the auction we went to at Pinch Road Sawmill. I don't really have great photos, John, but I took some of the photos of pieces that I was thinking about bidding on. I actually was talking to John a little bit too much when these pieces just went. I think they went in one fell swoop. Somebody bought all of them. But this is a bunch of walnut. It was a rainy day, so in a way it was nice because it showed the grain of the wood. These are some wacky pieces that I ended up buying. Probably paid way too much for them, but I'm going to make some tables for outside, for Patty's plants outside. Those are a couple pieces of cherry. I think I got both of them for $20. That's Dawn Redwood. That was the first piece I bought on the right. I think I paid $30 for that one. It's about 8 feet, I guess, 8 feet long by a couple inches thick. The one in the middle is the one that got away. I bought that, and then when I went to pay for it, a guy at the trailer where we were paying said that he thought he was going to bid on it, but they closed the bidding, and he needed that piece to go with the one on the left because he's making a dining room table for his wife. So I let that one get away. Those are the bat blanks that Bruce, what's his name, John?
Barry McFarland is the fellow's name. He's been there for decades, and his main business, or one of his businesses, has always been selling blanks like these to Louisville for making sluggers.
Right. So they were just some palletized blanks that they, I guess they're getting ready to ship out. This is just the general picture of what was going on. They sold that.
Well, we haven't
They
quite
tried
got
to
it yet.
sell.
Yeah, there you go.
They tried to sell a couple of the mills, and the bidding was just a little short of what the owner was looking for. And then if you want a really quick video, this is just the guy calling. And then this is what I ended up coming home with.
That's
So that's basically it. John, I also have a picture of some of your stuff, but I figured if you wanted to show it, you would
no,
show
I'll
it.
leave it as your story. It was a real fun Saturday.
Yeah, it was.
Hey, John,
Okay.
did they sell that big bandsaw too? That huge
Not when
bandsaw?
we were watching, they did not sell the bandsaw.
They were going to though?
No, I think it was not part of what was on the block.
There's one like that at St. Michael's at one of the boat rebuilding shops and where they restore old ones.
What were they looking to get for the sawmills? Do you recall?
The big one he was trying for 55, and the bidding stalled at 50. And the smaller one, the diesel one, he was trying to get 35, and it stalled at 30. And I don't know what they are new. Somebody said 80,000 for the big one. But more than that, you can't get them. I mean, the wait time to get one is a real long time. And they're an enormous machine with fingers that roll the logs as needed, and a great big, very wide throat band mill. And the band mill moves. You get the log in there and roll it to where you want it. And then the carriage goes right down through the log and takes the slab off the top. And then you roll the log again, or not, or lower the blade, or whatever you need to do. So it's a very powerful machine, and it was really fun to watch the demo. I've seen them in action as well, like in the real world. When guys are trying to make a living with those machines, they go fast.
The only other thing I would say is it's been a long time since I've been to an auction, and I was taken aback by the fact that they went through, in many cases, individual pieces of wood, each one being called by the auctioneers. And then down in the woods, they had a bunch of pallets of different dimensioned woods that I know John was doing everything he could to resist putting in bids on it. They were selling what, 15, 20 planks of cherry for $50.
Yeah, basically a pile of 100 to 150 board feet, various lengths, and air dried a lot of it. So you take what you get in the pile, but $60, $75. Amazing deal for flat wood.
Yep.
I'm still working off the pile I bought that last time this auction ran, which my camera says was 2018 or 19. So
wow.
18 on. Okay, who's next here? Let me see. Let's see. Mike, what do you have today?
This is kind of different. I bought some gaiters off Amazon. Now it's summer uniform time. Let me see if I can demonstrate. This is a really slick design. It's made out of that wetsuit kind of material with Velcro. But what I like about it, it keeps the chips out of your shoes, and it's so easy to put on. There's some nicer ones that you can buy, fancier, but these work great.
My wife would like them. She's tired of my chips.
I call them marriage savers.
Never knew I needed that. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, but the legs, they leave a little to be desired. So.
Randy,
I'll never unsee that. I'll never unsee that again.
Yeah,
this is what the shape of it looks like.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to bring you back into the spotlight. Just a second now. Replace the spotlight. Yeah, there. Okay.
And like I say, I looked at several designs, and this looked like the absolute easiest, best one for me for my shop, because now I'm in summer uniform, so I need that.
Well, why don't you just wear blowing pants?
No, summertime down here in the South.
Oh yeah, well there is that. Okay, Randy, go for it.
Hi everybody. At our monthly meeting this month, we had a gentleman, Bill Gray, come in and show us how he creates open segmented hollow forms of bowls and vases. And I have to, these are screen captures. So This shows a picture of the jig he uses to make these. I do not have the patience to do this. This isn't a very good picture. It's just a screen capture from our video. There's a post on the side here. This is the bowl he's working on. There is a bar, a square piece of aluminum bar that goes across, and there's a track that runs up the post that allows you to adjust the bar up and down. And this little part here sets the size of the ring that you're making. Now, underneath this, he has this form that he's creating attached to a chuck, and then he has the chuck in a, come on, where am I at?
Yeah, we really need another view. That looks flat from here, but I know it's not.
There it is.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not flat. That was probably about 5 to 6 inches tall. And this is what's underneath it. This plate is an angle plate that he got from a company called Alisam, Alisam. And they sell these plates. They have pinholes in them to do a key. And he also has a way to adjust it back and forth. And so he'll put a pin in, place one piece on, and butt it up against this bar, the side of it. And then he turns the plate like 3 to 5 degrees, puts the pin back in, and puts another piece in. Way beyond my patience factor. But what he does looks beautiful. He also demonstrated. Go ahead.
Got any pictures of the piece of the work?
I do not. They are in the video, and we're going to try to publish this on our YouTube channel.
We'd like that.
We didn't get a real good any pictures or video of the actual jig itself. But what we want to do is sometime go over to Bill's workshop and get some pictures and videos of the jig itself. But it was amazing how he does this.
Comments, questions? Any those of you who are into this, what do you see here? Okay. You're going to get a video out on this, eh? And you'll be able to give us a teaser of that?
Yeah, we're gonna do that, but we want to take some pictures from different angles of the actual jig. It isn't real easy to see how it goes together or how it's positioned over the piece. So we're going to do that before we publish anything.
Okay.
Just to comment on time, he told us it takes about 1 hour to do each row.
Yes.
As he builds them.
Wow.
It is way beyond my patience value.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Randy. Who else has here got a hand up? Bowman, you still have a hand up.
I
What you
do.
got?
I have, I don't know if I told you guys, but I have had a friend whose father-in-law took down a persimmon tree that's probably 150, almost 200 years old. And he asked me if I want to turn some stuff, of course. So I got it fresh off the tree. I mean, it literally was cut about, a month ago now. And so I collected the pieces a week after it was down. But here, I'm going to have to show, I don't have pictures today. This is the heartwood. Persimmon has very narrow heartwood. This tree was 3 feet across at the bottom and at the trunk. and it had less than a foot of heartwood in it, but that's what it looks like. It's always got a really black demarcation, and then the there. Now, the neat thing about this, I turned this very green, and it has really distorted, and I love that distortion. And when you feel it, it has a real, it just gets, you can't texture like that. Only Mother Nature can texture like that. So
How hard is it to turn? What's it like to turn? What's it like to turn?
It turns very nicely. It does. Yeah, yeah, it's not hard. And I turned it green, so it was wet as the dickens. And matter of fact, I don't know what you guys who turn green all the time, how you solve the moisture problem and sealing it. I turned it and sealed it right away. I mean, finished it. I think on this piece I used friction shellac. It's a mixture of denatured alcohol. It's linseed oil maybe and shellac, and just friction burned it on. I have since, I'm still cutting from this tree, turning, and I since have gone to Mahoney's oil, and I like it better on it for finishing it. I got a bunch of branches, so I got some real bark. This persimmon has very deep bark, very textured bark. Now, it moves a lot. I have to back up for this one. I swear this was straight when I turned it. Are you seeing it okay? Can you?
Oh yeah, hold still though. No, back up a bit. Let's see the whole thing, but we don't see. I want to see the whole vase. Yeah, there you go. Take your hand away. Yeah. That's it. Now hold still.
You see the kink in the head top? It was perfectly straight. I turned this one about 2 weeks ago, and it's been kinking over ever since. But now that one, this is a 22-inch bud vase. Now this one has a design feature related to a chainsaw cut that was in the blank, but I want to use it. This has a 1-inch tilt already. Now I think part of what's happening is, I'm going to come up close to shows. Part of what's happening is the tension is all pulling this way because the chainsaw cut this tension out, but still it's like bent. You see, I mean, it's fun.
That looks around where you have those 3 lines. It looks like reaction wood from, I can't tell in the picture, but you can tell if you look at it. Yeah, there's a feature there. There was a branch coming around there.
Yeah.
So the tension in the wood from that.
Yeah,
that's
but this wood is known for a lot of movement, and doing some research on it, a lot of movement as it dries. It has not cracked. Now, to finish off, I have on my lathe, I don't have pictures ready. I put a 47-pound, 15 by 8 plank, bowl blank. I turned out a couple cores with my new coring thing, and I loved it. But it's wet and heavy, and man, did it beat me up. I have it down to a 14 by 6-inch bowl now. But eventually, once I'm done with it, I'll show it to you guys. But I've been having so much fun with this persimmon. It's just, I don't know where you find it if you ever wanted to just find it. I wanted green. That's the problem. So this was fortuitous that I got to see it. So
have you got a lot of it?
Hollow those out?
I'm sorry?
Are those hollow?
These?
Yes.
The bud vases are hollow in the sense that I used a 1-inch drill and drilled down through it, but because of the height of them, I have a whole row. I have 3 of them. The 22-inch one, it's getting a little tippy. So I couldn't bore all the way down. I didn't have nothing. I have a 14-inch, 1-inch spade bit that I continued down in, but I only got about that far. Yeah, I let them heavy in the bottom, and not because I don't want to hollow form them, but because I want them to be able to sit. And if you hollow them out, they're going to be even more tippy. Somebody featured putting a bead on the bottom. I did that this time. I love it. So yeah, guys, thanks. It's been great fun. Oh, John, do you see that? I got a little bit of the bark there,
I
And I
like
got
that.
double heartwood there. How do you like that? About equal
We
amounts.
got a lot. What I want to see though, turn it halfway in between, a little bit more. No, the other way, and hold it still. See the wave in the figure there? That's another place where there was a little branchlet or something like that at one point. It's
Yeah,
like,
this piece came off the edge of the big blank that I'm turning a big bowl out of right now. But this one's beautiful. It has this figuration of that brown thing. But yeah, I love when I just end up with a little bit on each side. So
you got any more of it?
I have a little bit more, but the guy, he's a good friend of mine. He said to me, "We got more here." Well, he took the big pieces to slab out, but I said, "You better leave them really thick because they're going to turn a lot. And you're going to have to level them a lot." So I'm hoping to be able. He said, "We'll get you some more." So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Jim. Questions, comments? Anybody else? Yeah, well, I'm going to grab the screen for the last minute and a half here with a little. Let me see if I can do what do I have to do anyhow? Spotlight, yeah. Just for a second here. I did a demo of magnet boxes, and I learned from Mike Peace. This is the value of doing demos and talking about your work. Mike Peace, when we were on here, I asked him about the beads, and he said he puts a bead on the lid. And so I started putting a bead on the lid. And here's one without the bead, and here's one with the bead. I like the bead. I learned something a lot. So thank you very much, Mike. That was a real help. The other thing I learned, I got a lot of questions about keeping control of the damn CA glue after I put magnets in here, and I was not doing that real well. And Ron asked me a bunch of questions that basically made me think it through, and I realized that I can install the magnets and glue in the magnet while the piece is still on the lathe, and while I can still get in there with a tool. So that means if there's a space there, which there usually is, I can fill that up with CA glue and squirt hardener on it and then turn it so it's nice and flat in there. So I learned, I figured out a way of making my boxes much more refined and getting complete control of the CA glue, which I didn't really have before because of the tough questions I got from a couple of guys in the club who knew that that I could do better than I was doing. So I appreciated that a lot as well. So I just edited the video from that demo, which was May 2nd last night. And I guess that Matt is going to post it probably in a day or two when he gets the video sorted out. So that's my report on that. And I just want to thank you guys yet again for what I get out of this forum. I learn a lot. People always say that you get a lot out of just to listen to what other people do. I just want you to know that I do too, and that it shows up in my work. So thank you all.
You, John.
Yep. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody.
Yep. See you all next week, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so.
Okay, guys.
Wood shop. Thank God for wood.